Welcome to the Software Showcase. I'm Mark Stedman, Vice President of Information Technology. And joining me in the studio today is Glenn Oliver, our team's project manager and all-around great guy. Also pleased to introduce to you Craig Oliver, our team's application development director. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you. Great to be back.
Today's Software Showcase is going to have a little bit different format. We're going to try to get it all done in 5 minutes because what we want to do is present a short series of these about our outputs from our hackathon that we did a couple of weeks ago.
Well, we should probably mention what a hackathon is.
We should.
If this is an unfamiliar word to you, essentially this is an event that we have a couple times a year where we take a week out of our normal schedule. Normally we're working on very big projects or supporting software that's in the field, adding new features or maybe responding to bugs that might be found. But this is a time where we are actively listening to our other departments. Sometimes they come to us and said, hey, you know what would be a really good idea? And we store those for the hackathon, for these ideas that they're like, I wonder if we could accomplish this. We take that week and we bring our teams all together in one place, and then we have an opportunity to work side by side, sometimes with people we don't normally get to work with. It's a fun time. Sometimes we are able to answer questions by saying, yeah, I think that is something that could be achievable. Or sometimes we do little rapid prototypes of software, seeing if we could actually execute on that. And that's what we'd like to focus on today, something that is not a final product, but is pointing in the direction of something that could be really useful.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. So Craig, what did you work on?
Yeah, great question. So my project was one of those is it possible projects. We'd like to start with a tangible problem that's in the field or an area where folks that we serve are working where we could maybe see an opportunity to speed up their work or make it easier, or as we like to call it, provide a lift to make some of the things that are difficult about their job a little bit easier. So in this particular case, we were working with folks who are doing checking of translations. So this is a case where we would have translators working on their laptops to produce a translation. So they would be uploading the translation as they work. Oh, you can see my mouse, cool. Uploading the translation as they work, book by book, chapter by chapter as they're working on it, to our server. And then checkers would be downloading the translation, perhaps all the books at a time, maybe a whole testament or an entire Bible at a time, to do consistency checking, to check for things such as, are words spelled the same way or used the same way in different parts of the translation? Is it done the same way in John as it is in Philippians? It can be hard to do that when you're on the translation side because you're focused on a book. But when we're doing the checking steps, we can look at the entire panoply of Scripture and look for these corrections. So the process is a bit challenging to find misspellings and things like that. And so we were looking to see, is there something that we could build that would assist a checker in finding and correcting misspellings, and then be able to push those corrections back up to the server, which is normally a bit of a challenging process. So here's a list of files that are on the server. As you can see, there's one file per book. And hidden in these files are a couple of misspellings that I snuck in there. And so we're going to use the tool that we built to prove whether or not we could help them with this. So I'm going to go ahead and load this up. So this is our spell checking app. It's very simple. Over here on the left side will be the words, and over here on the right side will be the passages that contain those words. So first, let's load up the USFM directory that I just described. You can see it's doing some busy stuff in the background. And then it provides us with a breakdown. So in those few seconds, the program read through every book of the Bible and every word of every book in the Bible to provide us with a list of all of those. And listing them, in this case, we can see the word the is used 21,898 times in the Bible, all the way down to the bottom, where we can see like the word chrysoprase is used once. So checkers can use this, in this case, by looking for words that have low number of incidences that might indicate that it's misspelled. So as an example, here's a case where I've already searched through the files a little bit, and I found an unusual word here, T-E-H. It's used.
Type that all the time.
Yeah, that's not an unusual word.
Well, it may not be unusual, but in this case, it's incorrect.
That's right.
We can see there are two instances of T-E-H in this translation of the Bible. So by clicking that, we can see in the middle here, it helpfully gives us those passages where the misspelled word is. For God so loved the world, and down here, and peace of God, which surpasses all understanding. So this is a misspelling. So rather than making the user go and find the files that the mistakes are in and correct them by hand, we can fix the spellings of everywhere at once.
Nice.
And so the user could do that by clicking this fix spelling button. And so it provides a little dialog saying, what is the correct spelling? And we can type the word the and click OK. And we can see that it went ahead and made those changes. And now we can push the changes to the server. So I'm going to go ahead and click push. And we see down here it's doing stuff. It says done pushing files to the server. Wonderful. Let's go take a look. So I'm now on the server, so we're no longer running on my laptop. And if all goes well and it finishes loading.
While we wait for it to load.
Yeah.
So maybe this is obvious, but in case it's not, we can't just use a regular spell checker because we're not normally checking English Bibles.
Correct.
The whole point is we're talking about languages where there isn't an existing spell checker. So that's why you can use this tool of saying like let's look for words that are very rare throughout the entire New Testament. And if it's only used once or twice, let's check all of those. And we kind of work our way up the list from the least common to the most common. And you'll find some mistakes that way.
Yep. And so here on the server, we can now see that those changes are complete. We can see that the TEH was corrected to THE.
Nice.
So the tool did its job, and we automated what is normally a multiple-step process for the folks that are doing the checking.
Right.
That might take them 2 or 3 minutes to fix each word, and we reduce that to a few seconds. Yeah. So it makes them more efficient and helps them find the things that they're looking for. So is it possible? Yes, it's possible.
Yeah. So it looks to me like it's ready. Where can I download this from?
Oh goodness. This is a proof of concept. So
rats.
we wrote it to prove whether or not it can be done. There's some more work to be done to take this proof of concept and turn it into a tool that can be used by the field. And one of those steps is working with the translation teams to say, how close is this to what would be useful for you?
Right.
Like bringing it to them, allowing them to play with it and test it and give us feedback so that we can make it better and better.
Yeah, I imagine we would also want to think about localization and those kinds of things as well.
Absolutely.
It might be useful if it was in English, but it'd probably be more useful if it was in more than 30 gateway languages. So I imagine you'll work on some of those things. But the hope would be that this would be a tool that's available here in the next month or two. Is that reasonable?
Sure.
Okay, good.
Most of our software focuses on just book by book, and this is one of the very few that are thinking about the checking stage in particular, thanks to people who have come to us and said, you know what I'd like to be able to do? Again, we stored it, and we now have proved that there is a pathway to being able to achieve this, whether it's its own software or integrated into something else.
Well, it lets you fix all the books at one time, and it also gives you a larger database to look at of all the words, and so you're more likely to see those inconsistencies if you have so many more words to compare it to.
Yeah.
Well, Craig, this is a really exciting project, and I'm glad that you worked on it 2 weeks ago. We lost a week with the hurricane.
That's right, yes.
So it was 2 weeks ago. Yep. And we look forward to seeing it available, and when it's available, we'll probably have another software showcase, and we'll announce that it's available, and we'll put it up on Bible Translation Tools.
That's exciting. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. In the meanwhile, thanks everybody, and soon we will have another one of these about the other projects that we worked on at the hackathon. Thanks, guys. See you next time.